So I know that some of you, just a disclaimer, I know some of you are married, some of you are dating, some of you are engaged. So we have a mix. So I'm going to use the word espouse a lot, but just know that that's a biblical thing. And then I also will address a little bit of the dating part of it, okay? So let's start with my own story and why I'm passionate. I've been married for almost 20 years to my husband, Joel. When we got married, we had zero tools to talk about finances. My mom taught me how to budget as a high schooler and how to live within that. I remember as a junior in high school, I might date myself a little bit right now, but I could live off of $47.25 for a month as a junior in high school. Okay? And Joel's dad, he is awesome with money, but he totally failed to teach Joel about money. To Joel, finances related to dad being grumpy and stressed, and that they had none of it. So here we are, getting married, coming from different points of views, right? So I sat down, just naturally me. I said, hey, babe, let's have a conversation about money. Let's have a budget. And Joel was like, I'm sorry, sweetheart, I'm not available on Tuesdays. And I was like, hey, no problem. What about Wednesdays? Nope. Thursday? Nope. Friday? Nope. Saturday? Nope. Sunday? Nope. Monday? Nope. And I was like, wait, hold on. I might not be the genius, but there's no more days left of the week, sweetheart. Like, when do we do this? And he was just like, So we just kind of went our separate ways, right? So what did I do? I went and made a budget. Did we make hardly anything? It was barely anything. So what I would do, I would make a budget, and then I'd be like, hey, Joel, don't spend any money. Anybody been there? And he'd be like, okay. So I'd go spend money, which was budgeted, right? And then he'd be like, well, she's spending money. I'm going to go spend money. So anyway, you can imagine the train wreck that we found ourselves in. Our problem, we weren't on the same page, and we didn't have any tools to get us on the same page. So a year into our marriage, now spouses say, wouldn't necessarily recommend this, but I got the genius idea to sign us up to lead a Financial Peace University class. Anybody ever heard of Financial Peace University? Okay. And by we, I meant him. He was leading it because he is the husband, the man, right? And he's the pastor. That made sense, right? That's logic. And to be honest with you, Joel showed up. Joel did a job well done, but I think he hated every single moment of it. But it started a conversation. It wasn't a great conversation. I mean, not that it was all fights, but it was a rough, like a rough conversation. So fast forward 6 months later, so that was in the spring. All of a sudden we're in the fall, and Joel comes home. I mean, it was like he was like skipping through the door, right? And he was like, hey, babe, I signed us up to lead another FPU class. And I was like, huh? What? So I'm shocked. I'm so excited, right? And that began our journey of dreaming together, planning together, and being generous together. So that's where I invite you guys into this tonight. What does it look like for you as couples to dream together, to plan together, and to be generous together? I understand each relationship is unique. Like I already mentioned, we've got some dating, we've got married, we've got engaged, right? The way you met is unique. The way you talk is unique. The way you connect is unique. Your finances are unique. Your home life is unique. That's what makes your story beautiful, is because you are unique. So let's jump into dreaming together. Anybody like dreaming together? It's like my most favorite. Yeah, I've got a head nod right there. Thank you. Dreaming together allows us to connect, have conversation, and it gives us insight to our spouse's heart and mind. These moments draw us deeper into our marriage or dating relationships. Think for a moment, when was the last time you sat down and dreamed together? So when it comes to dreams, we have to kind of, they can be big or small, right? It could be, where do you want to retire and at what age? It could be, how many kids do we want to have, right? It could be, do we want to Get a new house with a bigger yard or pool, or maybe closer to the in-laws or further away from the in-laws, right? Anybody with me? Oh, are you dreaming of downsizing your house from that 5-bathroom house to the 2-bathroom house because you're sick of cleaning toilets? That would be me, How about that, like, more expensive pair of shoes or that purse that you guys saw window shopping last week? Or how about the man cave or the new truck or the new tool? If it's my house, you know what we're dreaming about? It's the next Traeger thing, all right? I just know I don't have to get it, I just have to get it, right? Okay? Or maybe you're dreaming about your dream wedding or your honeymoon. How about who do you want to bless? What gifts do you want to give this month or this year? What about, do we want to do 1 meal to family in need or 10 meals to family in need this holiday season? Or what about buying gifts for kids that wouldn't get gifts for Christmas? What most of our dreams have in common is we need a plan. Plans don't happen accidentally. I'm not saying all dreams have to come true, because we know that some are just dreams, right? It also gives us something to look forward to when we dream together. So let's talk about planning together. So the first question is, why do we plan together? Having a plan together honors your spouse. Did you hear that? A plan together honors your spouse. Sadly, it's not about you. You become one when you say I do, and it's important to have a plan that is one as well. If you're dating, take time to figure out what the other person's dreams are and their plan. Do you have similar goals and habits when it comes to financial plans? Did you know that 4 out of 10 marriages end in divorce because of money issues? That stat could radically be changed if every single couple had a plan. So I have a little something for us to do. Oh, but I want to mention real quick. Are you wired like your spouse? Have we all heard the famous saying of opposites attract, right? All right, so we're going to take a little quiz together. You guys ready for some participation? So this is not my own quiz. Disclaimer right there. I use it with my Financial Peace University classes that I get to lead. Anyone heard of the Nerd and Free Spirit quiz? Anybody? Okay, yep. All right, so everybody hold up your right hand, okay? These are for your A answers. So if you answer an A question, you give yourself a little finger tally, okay? If left hand, everybody got a left hand? You're gonna use this for your B, okay? Your B question answers. Does that make sense? Okay. So the first question here, and then you guys get your results. How fun is that, right? Okay. Yeah, we're ready. We're participating. So the first one, A, you're prepared for tax day months in advance. If you're right hand, put that up. Or B, tax day? That's in October, right? Which one are you? Okay, make sure. You tallying? All right. All right, next one. A. A, rules are important and should always be followed. Or B, rules are more like suggestions. Okay, give yourself a tally. Next one. A, you are always on time, always. Or B, you show up on time, give or take about 15 minutes. Okay? You make a plan for each day of your vacation is A, or B, vacations are more fun with no schedule. All right, how we doing? All right, you read through the introductions of books. They're there for a reason. Okay, is A, or B, you skip introductions, only chapters count. Okay? Next one, your life's motto. A place for everything and everything in its place is A. You can use then just use your other hand to tally because we know where you're headed, my friend. Yep. Pull out your socks, I don't know. All right, or you live by the phrase, it will all work out for B. All right, next one. A, you organize your shirts by color. Doesn't everybody? Or B, you're doing good just to get your shirts off the floor. And then our last one is A, you can't wait to create a plan. B, you're considering faking an illness to avoid planning together. All right, so you guys ready for your results? Okay. So, if you had a high score of the A department, okay, if you had 4 to 5 tallies, you are considered nerdish. You have a pretty good idea of how much money is in your account. Do I have any nerdish people in here? I got some nerdish people. Yay! How about 6 to 7 in the A category? All right. Plans are for awesome people. Yep. Okay. And if you have 8 A's, you're the ultra nerd, which you canceled your plans with friends so you could go start drafting your next month's plan. Do I have any 8s? I've come a long way from the 8. I'm now more of like a 7, but anyway, it's a real deal. Okay. Any guesses what my husband is? Okay, yeah. So if you had a high score of B, so 4 to 5 on the B side, who do we have? All right, you got to celebrate you. This is a free spirit, okay? So you're free spirit-ish. You got the ish, okay? You've got a plan somewhere. You could find it if you needed to, okay? What about B tally 6 to 7? Do I have anybody? Okay, yeah. Plans are for boring people. I'm seeing what's happening over here. And then 8, anybody have 8 B's? Woohoo! I mean, there's no noise in that. Like, normally that's a woohoo! All right, you're the ultra free spirit, which is plans are like putting on a straitjacket. Why would you ever want to do that to yourself? Okay? There you go. Okay, so again, why do we create a plan together? It honors our spouse, because as we just saw, we are not the same, right? The impact of planning together is not only financial, but it's spiritual, relational, and emotional. There's no guessing game, no hiding, no shame, no disagreements, no fighting, and no, anybody ever done this? The shopping bag sneak, you know? Ooh, I didn't buy anything, right? Instead, we bring peace and unity into our relationship and honest and open conversation. So what does planning look like together? So first, there's some guidelines for a planning session, okay? Some of you might call it a budget. For so many years I've done this, I've had so many people hate the word budget that I've changed it to planning, okay? Because we're planning, right? So the very foremost, most important thing that you have to remember is your spouse is not your enemy. Okay? So when you plan together, it's not pointing fingers of you're doing this or not doing this, right? It's your spouse is not your enemy. Okay? Everybody got that? If you walk away from anything tonight, just remember that for me, okay? All right. For you nerds out there, here's the rules for you in a planning session, okay? You've got to listen to your spouse. You have to let your spouse contribute. Us nerds can have it all figured out, right? But we have to let our spouse contribute. And keep the planning sessions short. I have about 5 to 6 minutes with my husband before he checks out. Okay, he's the number 8 free spirit, okay? That's why I was shocked when you didn't go, woohoo, because he would have been, yeah. For you, she would. If you're a free spirit, so in the B category, show up to the planning meetings, okay? A good attitude is preferred. Contribute your opinion and change something. Be realistic, saying whatever you want doesn't count. It's not allowed, okay? So just know that in a planning process, you might have emergency planning meetings is what we call them, where you have to like touch base to be like, hey, do we want to change this or whatever, okay? And there's nothing wrong with seeking outside help or tools to help you get to the journey. That's where my passion stems, is I help people who are stuck and that don't know what the next step is or don't know how to get on the same page. So let's go back to the planning part. You have to have a plan on purpose. This means every penny is assigned a spot. An old school way of saying this is every penny on paper on purpose before the month begins. I don't care if it's paper or a spreadsheet or an app. Figure out what works for you guys as a couple. Okay? In my house, we use an app called Every Dollar. Anybody ever heard of Every Dollar app? Okay, I love it. It's a great tool. I don't have my phone on me, but I can just pull it out and be like, here's our budget, right? Or my husband can pull it out and be like, ooh, I've got spending money, right? Yeah. So we love to just have it handy and accessible for all of us. When we first got married, after we first got married and went through FPU a couple of times, I would actually do it in a spreadsheet and email it to him because he didn't want to talk face to face. So if you have to have growing steps, have growing steps, like, okay? But then I realized that when I had updates, it was like, do I send it to him or do it? Anyway, it got confusing, but do whatever works for you guys as a couple. So here's a few tools and guidelines for you. On the very top of your plan should be generosity, which we're going to touch more on that in just a moment. The next is to save. Hear me loud and clear. You work too hard to have nothing to show for it at the end of the day, the month, or the year. Think of it as saving is paying yourself. Who doesn't like to get paid, right? Okay, so pay yourself first. I also recommend having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, and that's because life happens, right? The car breaks down, you need new tires randomly and didn't plan for it, right? Or you get laid off and you need some cushion. Have that 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Then the rest of the spending kind of starts here. So pretend this is a square, okay? It's not a very good square because my hands are not square, but a square house has how many walls? 4. So your first things on your planning list, besides generosity, besides saving, is going to be shelter, which is going to be your mortgage or rent payment, right? And then we're going to have your food, which, has anybody else's food budget gone way crazy this last year? Yeah, let's have a plan for that to keep us in check. And then utilities. Inflation, anybody, right? I mean, not to be a downer, but did you know that PGE is set to hike their rates 70% this next year? Is that in your plan? It's not in mine, but it's, just saying. We have to have a plan. And then transportation is our 4th one, okay? So that doesn't mean a car payment. I'm not pro-debt. I am pro-cash. I believe cash is king, right? But that's going to cover like your gas, your insurance, repairs that need to be repaired, okay? And then the rest of your spending is all by priority, right? So one tip that I'm going to throw out to you, and it has saved Joel and I I wish he was here tonight. He's dealing with kids, but one thing that has saved us is we have spending money for each of us. So it's separate money that we set aside in our plan each month. We pull it out in cash. Cash keeps us in our budget, okay? Some of you are like, oh, what's cash? It's dirty and gross, but whatever, right? You do what works for you, right? But it's money that I can spend or Joel can spend however we want. No questions asked. I'll be really honest with you, most of mine goes towards kids. I want to take the kids ice cream, or yay, let's go to this fun thing, right? Like, it's kids, I'm a mom. But Joel's, bless his heart, he'll either save it up and then all of a sudden take me out on a random date because he likes date nights, or save up for something that he really wants. Whether it's normally a Traeger thing, let's be honest. It's a Traeger thing. Anybody else have the Traeger thing in their house? It like rules my life. So there's a tip for you. Also, as you do your planning, pull out cash. This is how Joel and I really started, was pulling out cash for those budget items that we kept going over, because then it forced us to stay inside our plan, okay? So debt. Does everyone know the proverb? The borrower is slave to the lender. I'm going to encourage you, wherever you are, again, we're all unique, right? Get yourself out of debt. Say no more to being slaves, okay? Let's instead invest in our future. And there's great tools and ways to do that. One of them is a debt snowball, where you kind of line up all your debts, pay the smallest one first, and then go down. A lot of people get the interest rates and all that in there, but I'll be real honest with you. We as humans love instant gratification, do we not? So debt snowball gives us momentum, and it marks those off, okay? So after we get out of debt, we're going to invest in our future, right? Because who doesn't want to go sit in, well, maybe this is just me. I want to go sit in the mountains in a rocking chair on my porch and enjoy the view, right? Anybody else with me? So let's come up with a plan. I encourage people to work up to 15% investing in their retirement. But you have to be out of debt to be able to do that, okay? And let's see, and then kids' college. Anybody have kids here? Yeah, we got kids. So this is going to be a little harsh, but your kids can work and get grants and scholarships to pay for schooling. So if you can help them, that's awesome, totally awesome, do it, because that's being generous to your kids, right? But your priority is your retirement, because who's going to take care of you? Do you want your kids to have to financially take care of you when you're older? Or do you want to be able to bless your kids, right? So, and then if you have a house, work on paying it off. I mean, these are all in steps, right? Like not everything's going to happen all at once tonight or tomorrow. These are steps. But can you imagine if you didn't have a rent payment or a mortgage payment, what would you do with that extra cash every month? I mean, you could even keep some for yourself, and then you could be totally outrageously generous. Doesn't that sound fun? Sounds fun to me. So let's talk about being generous together. Generosity changes us. Our generosity is rooted in the generosity of God because we are created in His image. God's generosity sent His one and only Son to this earth, that whoever believes in Him would not die but have life. Jesus conquered death for us by being crucified on the cross and raising back to life. There is no better news than that. I'm just going to pause right there. If you do not know Jesus as your personal Savior, tonight's your night. He loves you, and he's way more important than your budget right now. Does that make sense? Okay. If you want to talk to me or Rick or Michelle, please, this is your night. Being generous connects us to God and to each other, just like planning and dreaming connect us to God and each other. Did you know that Jesus teaches more on money in the Gospels than He does heaven and hell? I'm going to challenge you to look those verses up as a couple. Proverbs is also a really great book in the Bible that has tons of financial wisdom. Everything we have is already God's, so let's hold it with an open hand. No matter where you're on your path, generosity starts right now, okay? If you don't make room for generosity now, you never will. What's easier to budget? What's easier to give away, $10 or $10,000, right? Generosity should be at the very top of your plan. If it's not, it's upside down, okay? Switch it around. And together you should pick a percentage each month to be generous with. If you do not have room in your plan to be generous, guess what? You're living above your means. Being generous reflects what's on our hearts. So what should we be generous to, you might ask? If you're a believer, start by being faithful and generous to your local church. My husband and I have set a percentage each month of our plan to be given to our local church because we are grateful for them. Being generous to the things, so we are to be generous to the things we are grateful for and the things that break our hearts. So first, be grateful for your local church. Second, the things that break your heart. What does that look like for you guys as a couple? That's something to dream about. For my husband and I, we love sponsoring kids through Africa New Life. We have 4 of them, and There's no greater joy. I love being able to share, to provide for kids so they can hear about Jesus, so they can have education and medical and like clothing. I mean, just breaks my heart in good ways, right? So, but please be generous to your local church first. If you're not already plugged in a church, I don't know, I didn't talk to each of you, but Kingship.Church right here would love to have you. They are a community that cares for others. So make being generous a priority on the top of your plan. So a lot of people have told me, oh, I don't have money for it, or I don't have anything for it. Well, turn it upside down. Make it first, and then budget everything after, okay? So let's be couples who are generous to the things that we are grateful for and the things that break our hearts. So to wrap it up right now, you get to come back later, but why do we dream and plan together and be generous together? We are all created in the image of God. He loved us so much that he gave his only son. In that he created us for a relationship with him and with each other. We dream together to allow connection and conversation and insight into our spouse's heart. We plan together because it honors our spouse and the Lord. We are generous together because it reflects what we are grateful for and what breaks our heart. In a moment, we're going to dismiss you to go on a date. You guys so excited? Yay! But please make sure to come back, because I think we have some of your children, and we've got some other special things, okay? There's 2 different versions, right, Rick? One for you dating couples, woohoo! And then one for us married couples. So one of the questions is, how has dreaming together impacted our relationship? One of the other ones is, what do you love most when we dream together? Okay, I think this is the married one, right? And then, how do you feel about our financial plan right now? And how do you feel about your personal financial plan now if you're dating, right? Because if you're dating, your money's not together, okay? You're not quite planning together, you're just seeing where you're at together. Does that make sense? And how will we input being generous together? That's on both of them. And then there's a little financial evaluation here. And again, I don't want this to be a fight, okay? Actually, that's my rule. No fighting, okay? No arguing, no bickering. This is just a conversation. Remember, your spouse is not your enemy. They are on your team. And together, you guys can do so much more. Just to recap, I'll leave you with this. We are all created in the image of God. He created us for a relationship with him and others. We dream together, which allows us to have connection, conversation, and insight into our spouse's heart and mind. We plan together because it honors our spouse and the Lord. We are generous together because it reflects on what we are grateful for, as well as what breaks our heart. We are couples who dream together, plan together, and are generous together because it changes our family tree. Isn't that an exciting thought? You each have your story. It's each unique. You each came from either a Joel story background, right, or my story, or somewhere in between. We can change our family tree by having a plan together. So, and the last and most important part of this is our plan, our dreams, our generosity starts with prayer. So I would encourage you guys, whether it's together or separate and then coming together, spend time praying over your plan. Pray over where the Lord would want you to dream. Because when you dream with the Lord interacted, he will lead you where he wants you, right? When we plan with prayer and ask the Lord where he wants us to plan for or what he wants us to plan for, he leads us in that. And same with generosity. He can move mountains by our generosity. Does he need our money? Absolutely not. Do we get the privilege of having him use our money? Absolutely yes.